Super Week Friday kicked off with Against All Authority taking down Evil Geniuses. The later the game went, the stronger AAA got, and it allowed them to finish the match.
Evil Geniuses are going down to the Against All Authority.
I just wanted to finish, but they told me don't be impatient. So we went late game and we win.
Fnatic versus SK was the last time we've seen El Clasico this split, and the game delivered. At the end of the day, Fnatic, they worked their composition better to pick up a win over SK.
SK is really a strong team. Like, every time we play them, they do really good, and it's the small things that decide the game.
In Fnatic versus EG, Fnatic simply had EG's number. Fnatic were better positioned, better placed, and better prepared to pick up the win.
The Nexus will fall, though, and Fnatic will beat Evil Geniuses.
Soaz proved to everybody why he is the #1 top laner in Europe.
Soaz has been caught, and here comes Snoopy.
Snoopy is coming into this one, but look at that! Soaz gets him blown up.
The right man was picked for the job.
Welcome to day 2 of Super Week. It's almost the end of the spring season, and these next 2 days will be some of the harshest our pro teams have yet to face as they fight to make it into the playoffs. On our first day yesterday, we were spoiled with some great games, and we were introduced to our European All-Star team. And at the end of the day, Soaz pulled out all stops by playing Nunu against Evil Geniuses and taking them down in All-Star fashion. For more insight on yesterday's action, the schedule for today, and the standings, give it up for Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan.
Thank you very much, Shox, and welcome everyone to the Caster Desk for day 2 of Super Week. Before we get into today's matches, let's have a look at what we saw yesterday. Starting off with Against All Authority versus Evil Genius. Now, Against All Authority look very, very solid at the moment. They took down EG in a great game to set up the start of what was a fantastic day 1 for them. Then we moved on to Dragonborns versus SK. To be honest, a very one-sided victory for SK. They got that ball rolling, and really Dragonborns couldn't stop them throughout that one. And our third game of the day was Against All Authority versus Giants. A fantastic rematch for the 3rd week running. Against All Authority carried on their good form from that EG victory and took another win.
And of course, with match number 4, we had El Clasico yet again. We had very unique picks coming in, as we had an Urgot and an Ezreal for Fnatic. That double 80 composition was really something SK couldn't deal with. And SK, they had a couple of good plays. Like, they had some really good engages, but the Iron Fist of Blitzcrank turned the tides for Fnatic to really take that game and lock it down. And for match number 5, we had Gambit versus Giants. And, of course, the Giants just seem to have some sort of voodoo or lucky charm against Gambit, because they always have a close match with them, as they were up 2-1. But, of course, Gambit were able to take that game and even the series back up to 2-all. So we ended the day with Fnatic versus EG, and that was really an insane game. We had very unique picks. We had the LeBlanc picked up by Froggen. And, of course, that Nunu in the top lane out of Soaz with that rematch versus Wicked, and they just could not stop Soaz at all. He finished off that game 7-0-12 and really led them to victory.
Yeah, fantastic game it was to finish off the day, and a fantastic day full of games, to be honest. We have to look, though, at the league table, because that's what we're all about here, as we are in, of course, our final week of the spring split. So, at the top there, Fnatic, 20 wins, 5 losses. Gambit behind them now at 19 for 5, but a win would put them, of course, level with wins and losses, but in the end, ahead on that head-to-head basis against Fnatic. Then we have SK Gaming in 3rd with 15 wins, 10 losses. With their win, if they can pull off a win, that is here early today in their game, they will be able to secure that 3rd place. EG still looking a little bit ropey there. 12 wins for 13 losses, and they're not safe in that 4th spot yet.
And you see, as the bottom 4 teams, Against All Authority overtook the Copenhagen Wolves, taking that 5th place position, but that also is due to the Wolves not playing last week and not having any matches yet this week. And of course, Ozone Giants and Dragonborns are there in the last 2 spots.
So let's take it a little bit further from this one. Of course, we are in our last week here of the spring split in the European LCS. Let's have a look how the playoffs would look if we were to play them today and the standings that we have right now. So round 1 would be SK Gaming versus Copenhagen Wolves. That would, of course, be 3rd versus the 6th from the LCS season. And then 4th against 5th would be EG versus Against All Authority.
And, of course, with the semifinals, the winner of that match number 1 will play against Gambit, which will be a very hard match for them. But then again, on the bottom side of that, Fnatic will be going up against the winner of Against Authority and EG, and that is no easy match whatsoever.
I think the point is that there are no easy matches to come for these teams, especially when we hit that playoff stage. Don't forget, you can check out all the stats, match previews, recaps, and the replays if you missed anything over on lolesports.com. So with all that said and done, let's have a look what action we've got coming your way today. Starting with the Copenhagen Wolves versus Dragonborns. It's the Wolves' first game in 2 whole weeks. It's going to be interesting to see what they've done with that time, and how they come into week 10. Dragonborns, I have to say, sadly enough for them, they looked a little bit lackluster yesterday. Definitely need to step things up against the Wolves. Then we'll be moving into Against All Authority versus SK. Against All Authority yesterday looked amazing and went 2 for 0 for the day. The question is, will they be able to continue that form today against an SK who couldn't really find their form in that final El Clasico showdown against Fnatic? Then we'll move into Dragonborns versus Gambit. Easy for me to say. Last week, Dragonborns looked revitalized in that first game against Gambit. They went on to lose that one, but they were able to step it up and take down the Giants. And the question there, again, is can they bring that kind of form and maybe even a little bit more? Because, of course, they did, in the end, lose that game to Gambit. And
we have to keep in mind, they're trying to avoid Meteor Makers in the promotion series. But, you know, after that match, we do have the Wolves versus the Giants. And, of course, the Wolves are 2-1 up in the series, but the Giants want to lure the Wolves back into their cage and potentially even things up because you always want to take as many victories as you can right now in the Super Week. We follow that up with Evil Geniuses versus Gambit, and, of course, it is a tight match between these two teams. Evil Geniuses didn't look too good yesterday in their matches versus Against All Authority and Fnatic, but can EG pick up a win so Snoopy can finally shave? I'm sure he's looking forward to that. I'm sure everyone on his team is looking forward to that as well. And we wrap up the day with Fnatic versus the Wolves. And, of course, Fnatic currently up 2-1 against the Wolves, but we know how close these matches can be. We've seen it time and time again just how exciting, how epic the matches are, and we'll have split push versus split push in that final match.
Well, we definitely have some incredible games today. We want to know what you guys at home have to say about them. We're going to go over to Shox, who's going to explain how you can get in touch with us.
Absolutely, and there's 2 things we want to know from you today. First off is our Twitter question. If you had to name the European All-Star team, what would you call them? And later in the show, we will also be talking to the All-Star team manager, the European All-Star team manager, Harry Wiggett, who is currently the manager of Fnatic. You can send in the questions you want to ask him. You can tweet all of that at LOLesports, #LCS to let us know what you think, and we'll respond to your tweets later in the show. And now the Copenhagen Wolves are back. They've trained and rested in their bye week and are up against the Dragonborns in their first match of the weekend. Shushay knows a thing or two about Wolves, so let's see what they come up with after the break.
I think the Wolves is the most dangerous team of the bottom 4.
Everybody wants to avoid them. SK Gaming don't want them. Evil Geniuses don't want them.
If they place concentrate on like mid-ganging and some assassins like Zed or Kha'Zix, that can snowball really hard.
As a team, their skill has just grown from week to week. They have the ability to trade and win against the best in the business.
I think Svensson is one of the key players in the Wolves, and he does almost all the plays. He's the one setting up the plays, and he's always at the right times. He backs up his teammates.
Depending on how the matches go this weekend will determine who plays the Copenhagen Wolves in the playoffs. And a quarter-final match, best of 3 against the Wolves, is liable to be lost by anyone in the top 4, and no one wants to fight them.
Welcome back to LCS Europe and Super Week Day 2. Let's move into our first game of the day. Of course, it is the Copenhagen Wolves versus Dragonborns. Now, the Wolves are currently on top in the head-to-head with 2-1, but the Dragonborns know what this weekend is where they really need to shine. Obviously, right now, rooted to the bottom of the table. A win against the mid-table Wolves could be a vital part of any rescue plan that they, think that they might have.
And the thing is, we have to remember, the Wolves had last week off, so they've had pretty much like a 2-week break, and we've seen in North America and Europe how it can be a positive or negative impact for a team, and we'll see how it's really worked out for them as we get into this one. But, the players for the Wolves, Svenskeren, Bjergsen, and the Test have all really stepped up. They really have done extremely well. They've all grown as players in LCS, and we'll see how they do against Dragonborns today. And, of course, Dragonborns did claim that long losing streak away from the Wolves by going 0-14, and this is like a grudge match for them. They want to show them that, even though we lost more games in a row than you did, we can still beat you, and we'll see if that can happen.
Yeah, Dragonborns unfortunately didn't really look that good yesterday against SK Gaming, but they need to come together as a team to potentially avoid meeting Meet Your Makers in the promotion game. And there's another one, against Authority and Meet Your Makers. Just another one to avoid later on. So let's take a look then at the two teams and how they're going to be shaping up for this match. With the Copenhagen Wolves on the blue side, Nigodbro in the top, Svenskeren in the jungle, Bjergsen in the middle lane, and the Tess and Deficio as AD carry and support.
And of course, over on the red team for the Dragonborns, we have Yamato carrying that top lane, Luno in the jungle, Shushe in middle, and of course, Hosen and Movert in the bottom lane.
So Svenskeren, from me at least, has been slightly underrated in the jungle so far for the Wolves. He's had some incredible games that have really helped the Wolves out.
Yeah, he really has been a critical member in every game that they've been winning lately. He's really begun to shine with these amazing ganks and counter ganks, as well as initiating team fights, because he's playing a lot of Jarvan. And also, to me, Svenskeren is one of the players who has grown the most over this European Spring split. Like, in the beginning of the season, he had little impact on the games, but now he's like the main man to go to if you want plays to happen. In terms of his champion pool, he's played Xin in in 9 games, has won 5 of them. And of course, Jarvan has played 5 times and won 3. It might be a bad thing knowing that his champion pool is a little bit limited, because we've talked in the past about, if you ban out Jarvan and Xin, what is he going to play? Yeah. And hopefully he's been working on that in their 2-week break.
Yeah, I think we can expect some bans aimed towards Svenskeren if Dragonborns are wise about this one today. So Maluno, of course, was removed from the Dragonborns earlier on in the season, but since his return, we've seen a clear boost of that synergy that Dragonborns were most definitely lacking.
And the thing is, like, when he came into the team for the first 2 weeks, he didn't seem to really mesh with the team too well. Like, you saw a change in their play. And then after that second week, he finally got, the hang of things. He started playing really well. But when he got benched a little bit and he came back, the same problem happened yet again. It's been 2 weeks, so we are in that 3rd-week period. Hopefully he can shine through there. He's been playing Jarvan 3 times so far, actually won 2 of them, so we might see a highly contested pick there between him and Svenskeren. And his Jungle Shen didn't work out too well yesterday, but it really shows his willingness to play new champions. I mean, he's one of the few that even plays a Moo in Europe.
So we're going to be moving then into Champion Select here in just a little while. But I just want to touch on our Twitter question for today. If you could name the European All-Star team, what would you call them and why? And I'm interested to hear as an American, impartial, what you would call the European team.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't have one for Europe, but I saw one on Twitter today for North America, and it was, I hope the team is named Na Batman. And I thought that was awesome, because for North America. But what about you, Joe? What would you name the European team?
Joe's Bros. I tried to get in there as the manager, but Riot wouldn't let me, so, sadly enough. But it would have been called Joe's Bros if that would have gone through, so just saying. But I like no, Batman. That was, got credit to Reddit for that one. So we're going to be moving into the bans and picks. Let's hear your thoughts on what we're going to see banned from this one, Jason.
Well, of course, when you see the Dragonborns ever, you're going to ban that Draven against them, and as we see, going to be the first one. But the real thing is, you want to take away the junglers, but also you have to watch out for the mid laners. Bjergsen, we know he is a playmaker for his team. So is the Test. Like, you have a lot of bans you want to use for the Wolves side, and of course for the Wolves towards the Dragonborns, you got the AD carry out right there. You want to make sure you keep Shushay out of it, and then potentially Maluno, because Maluno can really be a huge playmaker for their team. He's done in the past. But Shushay is like the one you really want to target and lock down with this. We haven't seen a Thresh ban just yet, but we both know that Mover and Deficio can play him.
Yeah, and we've seen the Kassadin and Zed banned out there by Dragonborns towards Bjergsen, basically. We saw him early on in the season with Kassadin, incredible stuff, making quadra kill after quadra kill in those games before he finally got that pentacle kill on Syndra, which was the first one that he made. Kha'Zix's the final ban out for the Wolves. Not wanting to let Shushay or maybe even Yamato Cannon have that one. So what's the final ban going to be here for Dragonborns?
It's got to be a jungler. And as I say that, it's Thresh. You left Jarvan open. Like, we've said this time and time again. Like, why do you keep letting the Wolves get Jarvan as you see them block in right away? Svenskeren is just so good on him. He's going to create so many opportunities for your team. Hopefully, you have a counter to that, because if you don't, they're going to walk all over you. As they are hovering over Elise, which, I mean, we saw it play to support yesterday. We've seen it in the jungle with Giants. It could be in the top lane like we see it with Gambit. Not exactly sure where that would go if they do lock it in.
Yeah, and Varus, an AD carry which Hosen has played a fair amount of. Now, he's a very aggressive AD carry, Hosen. Oh, yeah. He really loves to bait out those barrier fights. And, you know, the way that Varus works, he can put a lot of damage down, or, you know, an unexpected amount of damage just due to the fact that, you know, he's got that his stacks of Blight that he can pop to do an instant burst. Yeah, it's really unexpected sometimes. And when you work it well with any team that has decent AoE lockdown, like the Gallo they're sitting on or a Mumu, that chain of corruption is going to spread. It's going to lock down the team, and you're going to have a really nice team fight for you. But we do see Shen actually locked in, which obviously would be on Godbro. I mean, if it's not Shen, it's going to be Singed most likely for him, if not Nidalee. And then Bjergsen actually locking down that Twisted Fate. So we've seen some amazing Twisted Fate play last week. We've seen it just completely win games for teams. I mean, you have to say, because of the interaction with the other lanes. We'll see how well Bjergsen does with it here. Of course, the Wolves with the last 2 picks, they need a support, they need an AD carry, and it's not very often you see them leave those last 2 or those champions up last. Yeah, and if that was Dragonborns that did that, I would almost expect something funky to be coming out in these last couple of weeks. But I don't think we'll see the same here from Copenhagen Wolves. You know, Ezreal is in there, a champion that Tess has played a lot of Misfortune. I'm guessing it's going to be one of those two. Looks like Lulu is going to be the support here for Deficio.
Well, we have to look at it this way. Ashe is a possibility. We have Global Presence team. Tess doesn't really play him too much, but having the Shen, having Twisted Fate, I mean, you're going to be around the map like crazy. If you throw in an Asher with that, you're really never going to know where you're going to get hit from that team. As he does lock it in, okay, I feel a little good today. Maybe that crystal ball's working for me for once. But they do lock in the Lulu, so you have good protection, but that global presence of the Wolves team is just ridiculous. Only problem is they might potentially lack a little bit of damage as we get into the late game, just because they don't have a third damage type of champion, unless Godbro builds maybe a Trinity Force.
So what are Dragonborns going to go for here against Twisted Fate? Diana, I guess, is a possibility. We've got Kha'Zix and Zed are both out of the running for this one. Obviously, banned 1 by each team. We've seen Shushay play Diana before. He likes to get involved in other lanes, which fits Diana's style perfectly. We've got Lux in there, which also we have seen from Shushay.
The thing is, if you're against a Twisted Fate, you need someone that can push the lane really quickly to punish him when he leaves the map. He might be running Teleport to kind of counter that since you're against a pretty much triple global team, but I'm not sure if he's going to be running that Elise or if that will be a support Elise, because she's not too great in pushing the lane at all. But we will see what they lock in here.
Well, they're running it right down to the wire, and it's going to be Shushay's famous Gragas. We saw it in Season 1. That's what he was famous for. And obviously, I just want to point that out as well, the Azuba Type Assassin skins, which look amazing, by the way, I have to say. Shushay Gragas skin. There's still hope, maybe.
So Gragas with really long hair?
To see that one. I mean, his cosplaying wasn't quite Gragas-esque. It was just an empty water bottle, and, you know, he just unzipped his jacket. Bit weird, but also kind of cool as well. But Shushay obviously played a lot of Gragas in Season 1. He was the Gragas player.
Is it kind of weird that in my head, when you mentioned his skin...
If it's in your head, it's probably weird, Jason, yes.
So true, but the thing is, I imagine him throwing his dog. I don't know why, as a barrel. I don't know. But we do have that locked in. And to change subjects a little bit, we'll talk about North America.
Should have left that one there.
But we had Prawley of Complexity play phenomenal Gragas this last week. They even mentioned they've been playing him strictly in that middle lane just to know it can counter teams really well. And we'll see how good Shushi is at it. As we know, in Season 1, he was a phenomenal Gragas player.
Yeah, and I can't see that being really any different in this one. You can see the Dragonborns spirits high by the looks of things. Hosan, he's always laughing.
It looks like he's laughing at me.
He probably is laughing at you, like the rest of the stream right now. But if you put Hosan and Nono in a room together, there wouldn't be a sad moment ever, I think, in that one. But this is a big game for the Dragonborns and for Copenhagen Wolves. We've talked about this they've had 2 weeks break. What does that mean for them? How much practice have they done there? Has it been just a case of chilling for a bit, having that holiday that, honestly, some of these players really probably need by this stage of the season? So I'm interested to see how the Wolves come out. They have fallen behind against All Authority now, but only because they've not played any games. This is their chance, and against the bottom team, they'd be probably calculating this game as a win.
I know they've actually been practicing quite a bit. I've seen the Tess and Deficio duo queuing a lot. Svenskar and Godbro have been working on their Sunji as well, and Bjergsen, I mean, come on. He's always practicing if he's not playing right now. But we do have the game starting and getting underway, Joe, and I'm excited to see what happens because this is the first game of Day 2 of the Super Week.
So here we go then, Copenhagen Wolves versus Dragonborns. Level 1, Jason, with the setups that we've got here, can we expect any action?
If we do, I will have to say it will most likely come out of the Wolves. You have that taunt, you have the attack speed or the armor pen out of Jarvan, you have the stun out of Twisted Fate, and then you have that pretty much guaranteed crit strike out of the Test, who went with the Doran's Blade for that extra attack damage, and then the slow off of Lulu. They are kind of sitting over towards the top side of the map right now, so it looks like they want to potentially invade. Nasus, he normally goes for red right off the bat, then swings around to blue, so they might be trying to stop that.
This is interesting here as all of Copenhagen Wolves headed to that top side of the map. Yamato Cannon is actually inside of the brush, and you can see that he backs away as soon as he sees Twisted Fate come in there. Not sure that they actually spotted Yamato Cannon actually backing off there.
See what I love right now? If you check out the minimap, the wards coverage. So the Wolves, they put down a ward on the Wraith bush, so they know if Dragonborns are going to invade it off from their invade, like try to counter it in some sort of way. They know that's not happening right now. So it looks like they're just going to back off instead and just force Dragonborns to play a little passive, maybe even invest a couple of wards that they don't want to on their side of the map.
Yeah, lots of wards down for the Wolves. 3 at this point, as you said, 1 by that Wraith bush, 1 on the top side, and then 1 in the top tri bush as well. So Wolves got very good map vision right now. They're going to be kicking things off here with the Wolves. Ironic. And that lane swap, of course, going to be coming in. We are going to see Lulu and Ashe going to top.
I was almost expecting Dragonborns to start a Dragon then, off of that. But, we do have, if you check out items right now, this is kind of reminiscent of what we've seen in North America a little bit. We see 4 red pots start for Dragonborns. So, they want some early aggression. They want to win their lanes early on. And even Mover picking up 1 as well. So there's going to be a lot of aggressive actions from both teams.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. And now that also gives them that safety if they were to get invaded upon as well. Like, that's a lot of health boosted into that fight, along with the stats, of course. You can never count those out from that pot. So we are going to be seeing 2v1 lanes. Renekton against Lulu and Ashe, and you can see there Renekton already being harassed down to half HP. He's going to be burning through those 4 health pots that he has very, very quickly. Bottom lane's going to be Shen versus Elise Varus. Now, obviously, Elise does have that lockup early on out of the cocoon. How are these 2 solo lanes going to fare up against each other? Who's going to have the better time of it?
Well, looking at it, I have to say I'll give it over to the Wolves in that top lane, because Renekton... Actually, no, I'm going to take that back, because Renekton has a lot more sustain than a Shen has. I mean, with that Q, when it's empowered, you can stay alive quite easily. You have a lot of AoE to farm easily under the turret. So if Dragonborn shove the lane into Shen, he won't be able to farm under turret that well. So they should win that trade in the end, but it all really comes down to, how the junglers interact and who tries to go for an early turret.
Well, as you can expect, Copenhagen Wolves here freezing that lane out as much as they possibly can here. Ashe already up to 15 CS. Renekton got 1, Shen got 0 currently, so you can see how much of how passive they're playing that one, not wanting to come off that turret whatsoever. But now Yamato Cannon's finally going to have at least a chance to get in here and pick up some of these minions.
And we'll see how that works, because we do have 3 health pots and 2 mana pots on Deficio, so it looks like he wants to harass a lot and really force Yamato Cannon back. Even when he's under that turret, you can do a couple of damage. Maybe take a turret hit and then, heal it right back up, as they are doing quite a good job at it. As you see, not 1 CS has been picked up for Godbro yet.
Yeah, Godbro definitely struggling with that one. Yamato kind of taking a lot of harassment on the turret, and that's the beauty of Lulu as well. It's like, Renekton's going to go and last hit that minion. I'm going to hex him. And then he can't do anything about it. And that's the problem that he's had there, is Yamato Cannon does finally come away. We see the hex coming down again. And Yamato Cannon going very low, didn't pop his elixir though.
And now he's out of health pots. He has 2 running at the moment, but that just shows you how different the lanes are going. I kind of had him winning his lane compared to Godbro, but Godbro still has 3 health pots left, still has his red pot. Yeah, he is up 3 CS currently, but we are going to see Maluno come up towards his top side just to make sure he can farm a little bit. And this is what we see happen yesterday. We've seen happen quite a bit. It's just that junglers are trying to get a little bit of early levels and just make sure their solo laners who are in a 1v2 situation can keep up and farm.
And there was Move It. He just come up towards that Riverside. And actually, there's Shushi going in on towards Bjergsen. He's going to take a stun card for his pleasure, though. And Bjergsen will be definitely happy with that one. 30-25 CS currently for Twisted Fate in that middle lane. You can expect it. After all, Gragas is, at the end of the day, a melee champion.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're going to see very high numbers from both these 2 players in the middle lane because both of them farm extremely well. You know, the barrels out of Shushi, once you get a little bit of AP, you can full clear a wave with your body slam, as well as the red card and the wild cards out of Twisted Fate. But it all comes down to that level 6. Will Bjergsen interact with the top lane, with the bottom lane, and really try to create some opportunities? And time will only tell.
Well, right now Maluno is still waiting around in that top lane, trying to give Yamato Cannon the time to get some farm down from this one. You've always got to be careful with that Wither in there, something that they can't underestimate at this point. But Copenhagen Wolves definitely should be safe in that one. Jarvan did leave Shen down in this bottom lane on into his own devices here. And he's just trying to get in there. You can see every now and then just edging forward, throws that Vorpal blade, and then he's like, I'm going back to the tower now. That was far enough.
Yeah, that's true. And well, I mean, the thing is that like Shen will be 6 relatively soon. Like once that giant mini wave pushes in, within the next one he'll be level 6. We'll have Bjergsen hit level 6 relatively soon as well, and the Tess, who you know, will be there in a couple of waves in a couple of minutes. When that happens, like that's the go time. Like that's when Dragonborns are like, oh crap, we need to play a little bit passive because they can get around the map so quickly. They can interact with each other so well. And I'm curious to see how well the Wolves have been practicing this and how well they can pull it off. Because it's not easy to really work with a team like this. Like every player has to know how to work with a Twisted Fate, how to work with a Shen, and how to work with an Ashe.
Right, if we look at the CS between Shen and Renekton, actually 13-12 now, which you have to give that credit over, as we are going to see Twisted Fate coming into this top lane now. Can Yamato Cannon get away from this one? The stun card lands. Then we are going to see Nasus getting involved, but Yamato Cannon is burning here from the Ignite. That won't be enough to finish off, but the stun card will be coming out of Bjergsen. First Blood Wolves.
Just as we talked about level 6 happening, we see the first gank happening right there, and a beautiful play to Deficio off the bat right there. He sped up Bjergsen, so he didn't have to commit his flash right away to get that gold card. He got it with that, was able to save the flash a little bit later and help secure that first blood. So Wolves, great start to them up now. And Shushay wasn't able to punish that trade either. I mean, he's tied in CS, but he wasn't able to get too much damage onto the turret.
So here's a question for you, Jason. I mean, we've got 2 almost global present champions in there, obviously with Shen, who could, with that Stand United, move across the entire map. Twisted Fate, who is pretty much in there as well. Is Shushay going to go into him here? There is the body slam landing. The barrel will land as well, and Bjergsen in a lot of trouble as he gets that stun card down. But Shushay doesn't have mana, and that's going to mean that he can't follow up.
And look what he blew for that. He blew Flash and Ignite trying to get the kill on Bjergsen, who didn't have anything available, and Bjergsen was still able to escape right there. So a good job by him to know his limits, and unfortunately for Shushay, just didn't have that mana to do that one more body slam to pick up that kill. And overall, just well played. I mean, that was very scary because you can look at these mid laners, they can burst each other down pretty quickly.
So back to my question. We might see more action after this one. I know you had problems with Freak when you were trying to get stuff out and there was action, but that's fine by me as well. Do you think that Shushay should have gone with Teleport this time around, with the fact that there's Twisted Fate and Shen in that lineup?
Well, the thing is, they're running an Ignite on Yamato Cannon and Move It already, so I don't think his Ignite is very crucial. Especially since you don't really have you don't really have any healing at all over for the Wolves, minus the Q off of Shen and the, you know, Vampiric Scepter off of anyone who picks it up. I think it would have been a good pickup, because right there, he could have teleported to the top lane where that ward was. He could have countered that gank with his ultimate and then kept Yamato Cannon alive. It might have worked out really well for them, but you know, we'll see how the Ignite works out for him as the game goes on, because it can be very crucial. I mean, that 400 true damage it does, you know, around level 18 can really hurt a team.
Let's have a look at the items that are coming in here. I can get my words out. In the early stages, we've got Spirit Stone being picked up for Nasus with boots, Crystalline Flash, pretty standard stuff there, and the Madrid Razor for Jarvan as well. Middle lane, both players gone with those early Sorcerer's Shoes, 2 Doran's Rings for the Twisted Fate, and the single one for Gragas. This Twisted Fate is going to come into this top lane once again. There's the arrow as well. You're not escaping this one, Yamato Cannon. Slowed down completely. The test gets a final blow.
And we talked about Twisted Fate being so impactful in last week's games, and you've seen it yet again. 2 ganks in the top lane, 2 successful ganks now, and Hosan relatively low as Godbro's being harassed under this turret. The turret is very low as well. They could go for a dive.
Yeah, but you are going to surely see the first turret of the game going down here. There it is, finished off by Hosan. Dragonborns not wanting to go too deep into that, though. But maybe they will turn this into a dragon.
Yeah, speaking of that, we do have Godbro's backing, so he's going to heal up. He has ultimate available, and we have Jarvan, we have Twisted Fate in the vicinity to help out. Obviously, Ashe and Lulu on the top are not going to be able to help, but they might be able to stop this.
Well, there's the wild cards going through. Dragon got about a quarter of his health left as Shushay going to take a lot of damage from this one. There's Cataclysm going down. The kills start to come in. It's one for each team currently, but Bjergsen is still chasing down. Stun card lands onto Mover. He gets the kill. Can Maluna run away from this one with that ghost running? Bjergsen needs to pop the stun. There is the stun card. Maluna in a lot of trouble. One more hit will do it, and it will come down from Twisted Fate in the end, who fancies his chances now on towards Hosan. Needs to be careful of that turret as Godbro goes right under it as well. Hosan trying to bait him out with this one, and Godbro, honestly, I think he could have maybe finished off that kill there, but he didn't want to even risk that.
Oh, Brix gonna try to go for a nice wild card. Oh, so close to him on that bottom lane. But we saw a great play out of Hosan right there, popping a red pot, actually. It kind of made the Wolves commit a little bit too much right there, expecting to get the kill, but it was a great play for him to stay alive. But still, Wolves lost Dragon. They lost one member, but they got 3 kills, and they got the top turret off of that, so a very favorable trade for them.
Yeah, they're now 5-1 up in kills and are 2.2 thousand gold in the lead. So nice little bit of play that they're going for. Yeah, obviously Shushay got a bit of time now to farm in this lane before Twisted Fate actually comes back up. But you have to say, Bjergsen 4-0-1 up till now. Twin Shadow is his first big item out.
Yeah, we can just say just Bjergsen. That explains it all. I mean, he's been playing extremely well the entirety of LCS, but that Twin Shadows, that item is so perfect for him as well. So you have slows off of Lulu, you have slows off of Ashe, and now you have a slow and stun off of Twisted Fate. So you're never going to escape him when he comes in for a gank. And we'll see how well he works with that item as we do see more ganks coming in eventually.
Yeah, really interested to see how that impacts on this game. Ashe, of course, is also 1-0-1. BF Sword, Berserker Greaves, Pickaxe. Compare that over to Hosan, who's gone BF Sword, Vamp Scepter, and also got those Tier 1 Boots of Speed in there as well.
And the thing I like about the Wolves' lineup, you see the test, you went Cleanse, so if he ever gets withered by Maluno, he can use that to get out of it. Obviously, he can get out of the stun, out of Renekton, and get out of the Cocoon, get out of the ultimate, out of Varus. But they have a really good team at protecting him, so he doesn't really need to blow that on a Wither necessarily, or if he does, he's not going to be really too harassed by any of the damage Dragonborns is going to put out, but we do see them going for a 5-man push here on this middle turret, and with the wave clear Bjergsen has, with that blue buff, with the red buff, and Lulu there, I'm not sure they can really do anything about that, and then you have Ashe pushing the bottom lane, so that should be another turret for the Wolves.
Yeah, Ashe going straight through on that one. There is 5 men in middle, though, for Dragonborns, but as you said, there's not much left of the wave by the time it gets anywhere near to that turret. Dragonborn's trying to force them back as well. The poke coming out constantly here from Twisted Fate. And look at that, the testers. I was going to say that turret's taking a while to go down, but the next time we have a look, it's actually going to be taken out there in the end as the Varus ultimate was actually whiffed there from Hosan. Didn't connect onto anyone. They're still doing damage onto that turret, but Copenhagen Wolves, they're going to try and push back a little bit from this one. And the fact is that Ashe is pushing bottom, Shen's pushing top. Something's got to move here for Dragonborns. They can't stay around the middle.
Something has to give. I see a giant wave bottom right now just pushing up. And you know Hosan, he wants to get that farm. But now the Wolves, they're on the aggression. They want to push this turret and get some damage onto it and potentially take it down.
Yeah, that would be a cruel twist of fate if they managed to get down this outer turret. That was actually accidental, so apologies for that one anyway. But that would be horrible for them. The fact that they've been trying to siege that middle turret, they've given up that bottom turret for it, and then if Copenhagen Wolves had managed to have come back and take that one, would have not been the best news for Dragonborns, who already find themselves 4,500 gold at this point behind, so not really the best position to be in. If you look there at the overall gold, see it's almost 1,000 in that mid lane, despite the fact that Gregos has the CS lead. Twisted Fate, of course, has been all over the place. He's currently at 4-0-1. 80 carries, around about an 800 gold lead for the Tess.
Yeah, that Twisted Fate pass is really coming into play, and if you mix that in with the Tess's Hawk Shot, which gives him extra gold per minion kills anyways, he's getting a lot of gold. Currently 3 for every, or extra 3 for every minion kill, so he's going to be ahead of Hosan this entire time, which he's already ahead in CS. He has a kill, has assist under his belt. He's just leaps and bounds beyond him. And the thing is, the Wolves, they have 2 Giants belts already. They have one over to Svenskar and one over to Godbro, who's building into a Sunfire Cape. Like, they have their tanky members getting tanky. They have their damage getting very heavy in damage. And it's just really hard for Dragonborns to deal with that when they haven't really picked up any major items yet.
Everything going to plan, that's for sure, for the Copenhagen Wolves, who look very strong. We didn't know what to expect from them today, just due to the fact that, of course, they've had those weeks off. But certainly nothing seems to have changed since we were, you know, praising them in those previous weeks where they were looking very good as well. Now we see Gragas and Nasus coming into this middle lane. Actually, Shushay going to engage here on towards Bjergsen, but here's the counter engage. What a flash out of Bjergsen. He avoided the cocoon. He avoided the virus ultimate as well as Yamato Cannon going to pop his ulti. The test going very, very low here. Wild Growth will keep him alive as Bjergsen gets a stun down on towards Hosan, but there is the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves starting to close in. They are going very, very low as Mover is going to get stunned up from this one again. He got to repel off, and now they're chasing in towards Renekton into this north side of the map. Yamato Cannon not going to escape this one. It's a double kill as Bjergsen is going to Destiny in towards Mover. They get the kill on him. Shushay now going to have to run. He's got no mana. He does have blue buff though, so he's going to be regenerating enough here to get that body slam off and get himself to safety.
But still, 1 death for 4 kills for the Wolves. A great trade in the end. Bjergsen, he didn't need to go into the back right there to really go for that kill onto Mover, but you know, yeah, he gave him his killing spree, but he gave them a turret now because of that, and they're going to just completely climb up in this Goldie that they've already been far ahead in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shushay can really stay around for this one. We'll see. As I said, with that blue buff, he is regenerating fast enough to throw a couple of barrels out here and there as he tries to belly slam Godbro, and he just shadow dashes away from it, not wanting to get in there. So where does that leave us after that fight then? 23.7 to 19,000 gold, 9-2 in kills, and they after that got spread around really nicely. Ashe got 4 assists out of that encounter, 2 kills for Shen, 2 kills for Jarvan as well.
Yeah, you're saying where does that leave us? It leaves us with an Infinity Edge on Ashe. It leaves us with an almost Aegis onto Svenskeren and a Sunfire Cape Crit on Godbro. Like, that fight right there just gave him so many more completed items that they can afford to go back into another major team fight. And we also have the Sheen picked up on Bjergsen, so we will be going for that Lich Bane to go for some really good split push pressure, and not to mention just the pure damage that Lich Bane gives you.
Now the Wolves are pushing towards the final outer turret that remains. There's the ulti coming out of Shushay, and that will stop them, at least for now, being able to push this outer turret down. The rest of the Dragonborns team's kind of digging in there, but Copenhagen Wolves are right now invading the Dragonborns jungle. They want to get rid of that red.
And I'm thinking back to the North American game where it was, I think it was Complexity versus Dignitas on day 1 of the Super Week, where probably just one-shot Scar so many times the entirety of the game that Scar was forced to go with Zhonya's, and even then, just a little bit too slow to hit that button. I'm curious to see how well the Twisted Fate Gragas matchup happens here, and to see if Bjergsen does go for that item as well, because you see right there, like, he gets put out of position with that barrel, it's going to be very bad times for him.
Well, we say that, you know, forced to go to Zhonya's, but actually a really great item anyway for Twisted Fate, especially when, you know, we've seen so many times that whole Twisted Fate
Froggen last week
coming right into the back saying, ching, Zhonya's, and you just all peeled off to try and get me, and the rest of the team just all close in on them. So we'll see how that one all works out. It looks like that Lich Bane, of course, will be our next item for Bjergsen, who's got that Sheen in on top of his Twin Shadows that was completed earlier on. So what else do we have going on? We've got, well, Twisted Fate, split pushing. What a surprise.
As well as Godbro. So like we talked about, you know, the Copenhagen Wolves, their ability to split push with Bjergsen doing that on so many different champions, and he's just shown it again with his Twisted Fate. Like, the Dragonborns, they have to deal with it, and as you see, they send 1 top to deal with Shen, they send 2 bottom because there's a giant mini wave and Hosen wants to get all that, but now their mid lane is potentially, like, it's open, it's defenseless. I mean, yeah, you have Gragas and Nasus there, but if they all collapse on it really quickly, which looks like they're starting to head to, they can take that turret very quickly.
Yeah, already down to less than half HP. You can see Svenskeren in the jungle once again as the Hawk Shot goes off just to reveal things. I guess Hawk Shot is one of the more underrated skills, in my opinion, on the AD carry, because especially late game, the vision that you get from Hawkshot is actually quite ridiculous. Obviously, it does have a very long cooldown, but also, you know, it has its uses in the early game, especially with its passive.
And you think of how many games that were like almost decided because of a face check, like in the beginning of the game, like a level 1. I mean, yeah, you don't want to take that as your first ability, but it gives you that ability to not face check and get just destroyed in a team fight. But yeah, like later on, if you don't have any wards on at Baron, just shoot the Hawkshot down, shoot the arrow. I mean, you have 2 forms of sight eventually with that. It just gives you so much more control, and it makes you feel more comfortable.
Here we go, Twisted Fate coming up towards his top lane. Are they going to go in for it, or do they just want the tower? It looks like it's just the tower at this point. Varus is off to the side. Is Maluno going to get that wither down on Svenskeren? Takes a couple of hits there. And Hosan will throw down the hail of arrows as well. They've successfully defended that one, but it looks to me just a matter of time before Copenhagen Wolves finally get rid of either that inner turret in the top lane, or the bottom lane, or the outer turret on middle, which, as we said earlier, already down to less than half.
Yeah, they're doing a great job right now. All they're doing is just keeping the pressure on in every single lane, and they're trying to take away as much jungle creep on top of that as well. So they're strangling any kind of gold income Dragonborns can get, and as you mentioned before, them not having any major completed items yet has hurt them in the fights, but it's only getting more one-sided for the Wolves.
Yeah, Godbro now got a good lead, almost 20 CS extra over Renekton. Renekton's died 3 times. He's at 205 though, so he's sailing along nicely with that one. Blasty 1 picked up for Twisted Fate. Gragas still with that needlessly large rod and the pickaxe. Wow, that'd be a turn up for the Bucks. And the Cage's lucky picks.
80 Gragas. I've seen it happen before. Yeah, but like once he gets his depth cap, and if he builds a Void Staff as the next item up from that, like he can do so much burst. He could potentially get the test down, like in one full combo, assuming Deficio is not there to ult him or isn't quick enough to ult him with the Lulu.
So Godbro still waiting here on that top side. May try and have a bit of a dig at Yamato Cannon. And as I say, may try, he does go in for that one. But Dragonborns are, credit to them, holding on to this middle lane. It's turned into a little bit of a stale period, and that's because Copenhagen Wolves are just looking for that opening. They're searching for Dragonborns to be one man less than they should be in the middle, or one of them leaving the top lane, or maybe the bottom lane for a while, and then they'll make the move.
Yeah, they want, instead of them making the play, they're making Dragonborns make the mistake and then just capitalize off it, which is not a bad strategy in any way. And they're going to keep going at that. I mean, the thing is, they're working at that, but they're still split pushing the top lane. You see Godbro, he cannot be moved out of the lane unless you send multiple people up there to deal with him. And he's eventually going to get this turret down. I mean, it's slowly ticking away. And as time goes on, he's going to have more items because of all the split pushing. There's more damage just around the map in terms of all the turrets. And something's going to give. Like, something will give. That dam will break eventually.
Yep, and Godbro actually did just back off as they lost sight of the Dragonborns in the middle, but he's just going to be taking away golems after golems after golems, as waves are all pretty much his as well. And Yamato Cannon does now, however, have that Sunfire cape, as we are going to see the Ash Arrow come flying through there, and in the end, it hits absolutely no one.
I was going to say go as it goes between people, but unfortunately it didn't hit. That's the downside. Like, you always notice the arrows that Ash misses. Usually not the ones you hit unless they're completely long range. But still, like it's on a relatively quick cooldown for Ash. It's up in another 60 seconds. And it was just like their big move, like, hey, we'll finally go for an engage here, but since we missed it, let's just go back to split pushing. Let's just keep doing what's working so far.
Well, I'm not really sure what they were 100% hoping for with that one too. Hit Nasus was pretty much the only target that they had there, and I'm not sure that they would have been able to really follow that one up, but worth a try at this stage for Copenhagen Wolves. Not really much to lose from something like that, as we see Twisted Fate just heading home there. Rabadon's death cap is now finished for Gragas, but there is the Lich Bane for Bjergsen.
And I'm trying to look at this to see if Bjergsen could 1v1 Hosan with the items he has, and I don't think he's just quite there yet. But soon he will be. I mean, you see Dragonmeat starting out for the Wolves. No one in Dragonborns is even in sight of this. Deficio has an Oracle at 22 minutes, so he's denying even more vision to the Dragonborns. And that was just a very systematic, perfect play. It was like right out of a book.
Yeah, nothing at all that Dragonborns could do about that one. And as you mentioned, the Oracle and Deficio really going to be starving the Dragonborns, which, at this point, they've got the waves pushed up on them, so they are getting, decent amounts of farm from that one. Renekton's actually pushed that top turret right back, which Godbro will say, thank you very much. That's going to be 3 or 4 waves that I'm going to be taking for free, and then pushing right back onto your turret. Bjergsen doing a similar thing down the bottom.
And we talked earlier about, the Wolves, there is a downside to their composition, is that they kind of run out of damage. Like, if they start to fall behind, they're going to kind of stay behind unless they can get some nice picks. But we talked about Godbro. Like, you usually kind of want to run someone that has a little bit of damage in the top lane, but he's actually bypassing that by going a Sunfire Cape and a Trinity Force. So see Hosan get engaged on the bot lane.
Yeah, we will see Bjergsen going in. Ultimate comes out of Hosan, and he's going to surely win this 1v1. Bjergsen backing away there. The arrow comes out. The minions were hitting him. And Bjergsen just realized, I think, that he can't quite 1v1 him yet.
It's like, oh, okay, that didn't work out well. But yeah, so it was a great play by Hosan to, pop the bear at the right time to stay alive. Very quick reactions. And as I was saying before, Godbro, I mean, he's building towards a Trinity Force, I want to say, or Frozen Mallet, because they're going to need that little bit of damage. I see Monocannon getting taunted here, but he is tanky enough to survive this.
Yeah, tanky enough, definitely. Got that Negatron cloak in there now as well on top. So we are going to see Wolves making another play for this middle turret, but those pesky Gragas barrels are strong enough now to be wiping out wave after wave of minions. And there we go, Copenhagen Wolves finally saying, let's just get it. let's just not care about a couple of Gragas barrels and take the turret. That's exactly what they've done, and that gives them so much more freedom now to be moving around. We could probably expect, you know, with Lulu in there, just to get as many wards down as they can in this Dragonborns jungle and really seize control of the entire map.
And not to mention, hammer down this top turret's already down to half health at this point. Godbro's just been hammering away consistently this entire time. Or even from that, I mean, you force Yamada to deal with them, but Dragonborns can't kill Godbro with like in a 1v1 situation. They have to send someone else up there. So if they do that, the Wolves could capitalize by taking that second middle turret, or have Bjergsen split push the bottom lane, which he's going down to do right now.
What's the solution here for Dragonborns? It's obvious that they're getting, you know, kind of torn to pieces in different lanes. In terms of, I say torn to pieces in terms of, you know, pulled away from where they really want to be because of that split push in the top lane from Godbro, because of Bjergsen going down into the bottom lane, and the need to defend that middle lane because, well, it's a middle lane after all. What's the solution to that right now for Dragonborns?
I think you have to go for a really ballsy play. Like, you need to push out bottom so Bjergsen can't just get back to that turret right away, and then maybe go for a 5-man push on the middle lane because, you know, yeah, Bjergsen might be able to take that tier 2 turret, but you should be able to push quicker than him and Shen combined, and you could create an opportunity for yourself right there or force the Wolves to back out. But we do see the engage happen on Bjergsen. He gets caught.
Yeah, he gets caught and tied down, but there is the Ash Arrow going out on towards Hosan. They're going to go straight in, but Svenskun taking a lot of damage. Wild Growth comes in. He puts Cataclysm down. He flashes away from the Cataclysm itself then, leaving Dragonborns in there, but Mover has picked up that kill onto him, and there is the Ghost, and here comes the Fat Man diving over the wall. Can he finish off, though? Bjergsen is ticking very low. Will be finished off. Nice play coming out of Shushe, and now they're going to try and find Officio, and by try I mean R, and he is not going to escape from this one. Hosan snipes it down for the final kill. 3 for 0. Is that the play you were just talking about, Jason?
It could have been. It could have been. But, you know, we have to give credit to Yamada Cannon during that fight, as we actually do see a fight happening in the mid lane. The test getting very low.
Yeah, he's got to be really careful about this one. Well, he's not going to get away. I didn't spot Maluno down on that bottom side. Got Yamato Cannon low, but he's got plenty of armor and health, and, you know, he's got a bit of regen in there as well. And you look at Ash, no lifesteal right now.
Yeah, and so that was 4 kills straight for Dragonborns right there. A great play. They're going to get turret as well off of this. But you do have to give Yamada Cannon so much credit in that entire fight. Because Godbro, he backed away, trying to, you know, say, I need to ulti, I need to get down there as quick as possible. But Yamada Cannon slice and dice through the minion wave, slice and dice to Shen, stunned him to stop that, so he couldn't interact with the fight, because that could have been a completely different fight if he did show up.
Really well done by Dragonborns. And now this is why I was asking, because it was all about, you know, Copenhagen Wolves. We were talking about Wolves are slowly but surely taking down the turrets. And that's why I asked you, you know, what do they need to do at this point? And it looks like Dragonborns know what they have to do, just judging by what we've just seen there. Copenhagen Wolves, I'm guessing after, you know, getting caught out by the enemy blue, probably going to go, you know, step it back a little notch in terms of overconfidence and, you know, what they're going to do in terms of pushing through into the jungle.
See, overconfidence, that's like the perfect word to use, because they had the potential to disengage if they wanted. They had the Lulu slow, they had the Ashe slow, and yet they wanted to go for that fight because they were just too confident that they could win it. And it ended up being 4 deaths for them. It gave Dragonborns a nice little bit of a lead. Or not a little bit of a lead, but it got him back in the game really quite well. Got him another turret, and that's just an unfortunate play out of Wolves. But a great capitalization of Dragonborns.
I like to focus on that aspect of it, as we are going to see Hosan there tying down Bjergsen with the chain of corruption. Couldn't quite get the damage to get the kill, but he's going to force him to back away from that area. Is Mover going to go for anything? No, Bjergsen will recall, and they could have probably got in there for that turret. Jarvan was coming across. There's a Hawk shot, which is instantly going to make Dragonborns back away. They're not going to want to get involved if Jarvan and Ashe are there.
And you see how much that last fight affected the momentum that the Wolves had. Is that Dragonborns just completely turned it, and now they're being aggressive. They were pushing that top lane, trying to get that turret down, when it's been the other way around. Godbro's been pushing that top lane the entire time, and they're starting to just be a little bit more aggressive, knowing, hey, you know, we got back in it. We can probably win some fights now easily. So you see Bjergsen catching Yamada Cannon here, but I don't think they have the damage to kill him.
Oh, 1/3 of his health gone from that, and well, that was the volley and a full combo coming out of Bjergsen. So definitely not quite enough to kill the Crocodile at this stage. What other items have we seen coming in there? Seeker's arm guard down for Gragas, as there we see, or don't see, the dragon going down for the Copenhagen Wolves.
But we can tell you, it is there.
It is there.
I promise you that.
There it is, look.
So we see items being built up with the Found Nets are done for the test. So he's going for that kind of standard build for Ashe, most likely a Last Whisper next, since he's just going to sit on that Vamp Scepter until relatively late in the game. We see Zhonya's being built by both mid laners, as Shushe already has this completed. Bjergsen's still working on his. The Trinity Force is now done for Godbro, so his damage just got amplified by quite a bit. And you see Yamana went for a Spirit Visage, so he wants that Magic Resist, wants extra healing off of his Q. And of course, Sunscarin, he's going for that Random Omen. He wants to dive into the backside. He wants to slow Hosen's attack speed, keep him out of the game for quite a while, and just allow Ashe to eat, or just pretty much eat through their tanks when they try to go after him.
That Trinity Force, of course, on Godbro as well, going to be allowing him to go a bit more aggressive and not always have to back away when Yamato Cannon comes back onto him. So really interested to see now with what looked like it could be a very one-sided game. I mean, it's still a strong lead here for Copenhagen Wolves, whichever way you look at it, but that last fight just showed us that the fights aren't going to be as clear-cut, and Dragonborns can definitely get themselves right back into this game. We already seen a ward put down by the Wraiths. The Wolves were taking the Wraiths away as that happened.
And the thing is, Joe, the Wolves still can back up to their split push strategy, which they're doing yet again. You have even Shen and Twisted Fate grouping up together to push this bottom turret, and that's not going to last very long. You do have Hosen coming around the side, but he might get caught here as the rest of the Wolves are heading over towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, he's going to have to go top side. Obviously, couldn't come from behind there. He would have been destroyed by Shen with that taunt in there and the stun card coming out as the Ghost just chasing around there towards Hosen. And that's another, I think, underrated point of the Ghost as well. Just to use them as scouting material.
Yes, I mean, it's just like a hawk shot. You have so much vision around the map, you don't have to face check anything right there. And speaking of vision, take a look at Dragonborn's ward coverage right now. They have 5 wards down around Baron. Like, they're really trying to stop any potential take of it, because the Wolves, they're tanky enough to take it right now if they want. Ashe has the damage he needs. It's just going to take him a little bit of time. So with that control, they're not allowing Wolves to pick up the Baron and then go for like a straight 5-on-5 fight, but they are contesting the blue buff again. We saw it happen last time. Will it happen again?
Well, not quite the same, but Shushe throws the ultimate in there, says thank you very much, you're not taking it away this time, and he gets his blue buff. So the Wolves losing out on that little encounter, but are they going to go for a fight? They're pushing straight through, as we are going to see the Hawk shot revealing as the arrow is going to go flying straight through the middle of them. And as you said earlier, we only really see the misses. Yamato Cannon, though, has got caught out here inside of the jungle. He got stunned up, he got taunted up. He's going to get popped there by Bjergsen. And it takes a while for him to go down as there's kills going off all over the place. Twisted Fate coming in at the backside. Stun on towards Mover. Wildcard's going to come through. That's the base damage that they need. And now Hosen trapped inside of the Cataclysm. Nice Shen taunt coming in. Wild Growth goes down. Zonya's used by Shushe, but is he going to be able to get away? He flashes over the wall. Will body slam away, but Svenskron is chasing. There's a flag toss landing onto him as well. But Shushe going very low. Finished off by Bjergsen. Maluno turns over onto Svenskron. Stan United used, and Maluno is pretty tanky, but I'm not sure with all his crowd control that he's going to be able to walk away from this one. He turns around again to go for Svenskron, but that will be an ace, a 5-for-1 there for the Copenhagen Wolves.
So that fight started out with completely Yamanakan getting caught out. And the thing is, he doesn't have Merc Treads, so the stuns, the taunts are lasting full duration on him, and he just got obliterated in the entire time of that. So we saw that happen first off. And then we saw Maluno just sitting around the backside trying to attack as much as possible as to see Yamanakan going in. We'll get back to that in a second.
Well, stun, the slow. The slow is basically a snare. We know that for the people that have ever played against Lulu and screamed at her when she slows you forever. And there is Godbro pushing through on towards that middle turret as well. So inner turret's down in the middle lane, in the bottom lane. Top lane is still there, ironically, after Godbro spent so much time pushing that one down. It's definitely not very high on health points right now. And we're seeing some more big items coming down, so I'll just run them down quickly. But that middle lane is really where the importance is right now. The Zonya's Hourglass picked up for Twisted Fate, who has just used it for fun in the jungle, just to test that it's working.
It's working.
The Hourglass is working, everyone. We know that now. Bjergsen just wanted to be careful with that one. But Gragas, on the other hand, we've seen that he also has that one in there with a Revenant.
I think it's the Banshee's Veil is the really key pickup for the test, because we saw Hosen actually 1v1 him in that last fight. But with that Banshee's Veil, it's going to stop that proc of Blight, at least one of the procs of it, or even the Chain of Corruption, even the ultimate out of Gragas to stop that. We just see Baron started right now. We do have a ward for Dragonborns, but Shushe's in the bottom lane right now. He's not in position to stop this, and the Wolves do have the damage to take it, but will they have that smite?
That's what the Wolves are going for with this one. Svenskron does have smite available. 5 versus 4. So there we see the Q coming through from Hosen. Not going to be enough to get that one for them. And now the Copenhagen Wolves going on the offensive. There's the Twin Shadows coming out. Won't actually really get much of it. Slowed the least down, but the repel made sure that Mover was already away from danger in that one. Copenhagen Wolves not able to turn that into kills, but Baron's a Baron.
Yeah, that was an amazing repel because he used it to get away from the Twin Shadows, and then he hopped to the red buff to get away. So he's just like walking away. That would have been a death for him completely if he didn't go for that, and that probably could have been an inhibitor turret off that as well. But now, Baroned up Copenhagen Wolves. They're pushing down this middle lane. They have great clear of waves. They have great damage with that Lich Bane on a Twisted Fate. They might even they might be able to take this, but they also might be able to split push, take that top turret.
Well, the pings did indicate that they want to do that. Bjergsen is the one that backs away, and Dragonborns using that to push that middle lane out as far as they possibly can. Obviously, it's easier when it's all the way up to the turret for the Copenhagen Wolves to be getting in with that one. Now Twisted Fate is moving straight through this top lane. You can see how quickly Bjergsen eats through that line of minions. There's a hawk shot just to reveal pretty much the entire Dragonborns team. Bjergsen coming in towards that top turret now. Gragas might actually get sandwiched in here. Turret finally goes down, and this is where it gets really hard for the Dragonborns to deal with that split push ability that the Copenhagen Wolves have.
And the thing is, if they want to go in and pretty much stop that, they have to force like an engage. They have to go 5v4 and try to blow someone up as quick as possible. But you know, you have Bjergsen who might be split pushing, might be there, has a Zhonya's. You have the Tess who has a Banshee's Veil. It's going to be relatively hard to do that, but it is always possible.
And Godbro, we didn't talk about him for a while, but he's 4-0-8 right now. Like, his taunts in those last fights
phenomenal.
Were why they really locked it up as well as they did. He's just picked himself up a Spirit Visage now to add in as the Ash Arrow going to land here on towards Mover. Gets knocked up. He's going to repel there just about, but he's going to die as soon as he comes back down. The Cataclysm used in the middle of the fight. Here comes Twisted Fate. Where's he going to go? Towards Shushe. Yamato Cannon is very low. He will be finished off by Ash in the end, and that is 3 kills for nothing. Copenhagen Wolves not finished just yet. Twisted Fate on the top side will get hit there. Well, the Twin Shadow chasing him through the jungle. Can Bjergsen land this stun card? Actually, Hosan's kept running. Bjergsen is... Oh, his stun card just ran out. And he's got to think twice about that one. Hosan going to be recalling right in the middle of him. Bjergsen can't go aggressive on him there. And they're like, well, let's just forget him. Let's go towards the inhibitor.
And, you know, we talk about the Ash Arrows missing, we notice those more, but all it takes is one great Ash Arrow to land as you start with their hit mover, able to pick up those 3 kills, able to pick up an inhibitor turret off of that. Well, so actually, matter of fact, 2 of them, and maybe even 2 inhibitors. And a great play to Godbro as well. He backed, he had home guard boots, so he ulted in and just zoomed right into the middle of that fight, landed the taunt, and also the Banshee's Veil off the test was an MVP right there, because he didn't get hit by the Gragas Sparrow at all, that ultimate.
Yeah, we saw there Maluno managing to defend the inhibitor for now with those home guards on. Bit of a whippet he is coming out of the fountain there, which us Northerners, we love our whippets.
I'm like,
You're
I have
probably
no
not
idea
going to
what
get
that
that one
means
at all, but it's a dog, Jason, a fast one. So, where are we at? Yeah, the rumor is that all us Northern English guys, we like to race whippets in our spare time. I can confirm, though, I don't have a whippet. Only. Anyway, let's move away from whippets and get back into the game. With 36 minutes in, a 10-kill advantage for Copenhagen Wolves. We have 2 inhibitor turrets down, 1 inhibitor itself. Of course, the bottom inhibitor right now is completely open for the taking, and the top inhibitor turret is the only turret that left standing.
And the real dangerous thing is you have 2 people who could backdoor you. You have Twisted Fate who could just ulti into that bottom inhibitor and take it down very quickly with that Lich Bane. We might have Bjergsen potentially going for his own Xpeke here. Maybe he wants to show, since Froggen already did it last week, he wants to show everyone he can do it. But he's going to the top lane against Shushe, and he won't be able to pick up this kill, most likely.
Ulti now, but look at the damage onto Shushe. Bjergsen did spot that Elise was there and didn't want to get cocooned up and end up falling down. And Gragas is just going to recall there at the back of his teammates. Bjergsen is going to get hit by the cocoon in the end. And, well, he's not escaping this one now. We're going to see Svenskeren coming off to the side. Bjergsen gets a wild growth, and the Zhonya's down. Mover is going to fall. Wildcard's coming through. Ash Arrow was a little bit too late there. They were already running away, but the slow from Lulu and the damage coming out will be enough to finish off Renekton. And there is another flash taunt from Godbro. Svenskeren coming in from the backside as well. Have they got the damage? Maluno gets stunned up. Hosan is very low. He's finished off by Bjergsen. And now Maluno is going to be concentrated on here. Just a couple more hits will be enough to finish him off. He's knocked up, and it's a double kill for Bjergsen in the end. The test was even thinking about going for Gragas. Well, that's inhibitor number 2 down. Copenhagen Wolves not the healthiest after that, but they've probably got enough health between them to tank this one up. As the Gragas ulti not really in the right position, but just these barrels are going to be a cause for concern here. The Wolves taking down that first Nexus turret. The super minions are coming in. Gragas comes flying off from the main, and they are going to go into that Nexus, and the Copenhagen Wolves going to finish off here and take down the Dragonborns.
And that was phenomenal play out of the Wolves in general, and you really have to give credit to God Barbara and Sven Skaren is multiple times during these entirities of the fights, they would actually body block Draga so he couldn't get around, he couldn't like escape in any sort of the way, and they really locked him down to pick up those kills. Great job by Wolves, and also Dragonborns played that quite well. I mean, they did get back in the game and finally turn it around, but unfortunately just was a little bit too late.
Yeah, they had that moment of promise, but they need to build on that one right now. They are rooted to that 8th position. The Wolves showing that those 2 weeks off seem to be a good thing up until now. That's it from me and Jason for now here on the Caster Desk. We're going to go over to Demon and Quickshot to break down the game.
Thank you very much, Joe. And well, what a slow and steady win for the Copenhagen Wolves, I think we can say there. But we weren't too convinced from the very beginning, it's safe to say, Trevor. We went through, we saw the picks and bans coming out. We were just like, what are they doing? They're giving the Wolves everything.
Yeah, so the one thing that was very, very key, as soon as the picks and bans ran through, we immediately said, Jarvan is open. Jason pointed out, we pointed out, we said, well, Sven Skaren's obviously going to take his, go-to jungler. Immediately replied by that, the Dragonborns locked in Varus and Elise, allowing both Shen and Twisted Fate to slip through the cracks. Now, Yamato Cannon, we haven't seen him on Shen. We know that Xuxe's not necessarily a Twisted Fate player, so it's not their champion pools, but you can't allow them to go through. We've seen how strong Bjergsen is on TF. He single-handedly decimated the Giants lineup 2 weeks ago, and he did it again today.
Well, I mean, Twisted Fate's one of the champions that is pretty much 100% banned. In fact, is 100% banned in OGN right now. The Koreans just don't let that through.
Yeah.
The likes of Peke, you'd always ban it. Bjergsen, as soon as I was like, Bjergsen, it's Twisted Fate, what are you doing?
Yep.
And then they have double global presence with Shen as well. It's like, well, you are going to get beaten pretty badly. Yep. And then the opening game, Dragonborns, they wanted to take advantage. They tried to use the brilliance, the Fortitude pot, towards the start, but that even backfired.
So that was something that was interesting. They had all of their solo laners take red pots. The only person that didn't was Maluno in the jungle. And that's 1,000 gold that they invested into statistics, which they didn't even use. So they had this massive, massive presence and focus on the early game. They didn't get first blood. They didn't use the statistics to their advantage. They gave away first blood. Yamato Cannon got killed a second time before he even used that red pot. And it's one of those things that the reason that early game was so one-sided is because they invested so much money into that early game gambit that just did not pay off.
So we're going towards the replay, and it was really the big team fight. It got them back and forth. Dragonborns kind of got themselves back into it. Bjergsen had a triple kill, and they had a 4-for-1.
Yeah.
And then Dragonborns kind of got themselves back into it. I think they picked up a 4-for-1 themselves, and then we led up to this fight, really, which was in the jungle of the Dragonborns.
All right, so let's actually jump straight into the replay. It's about 30 minutes on the clock. There is a 6,000 gold difference between the two teams. I've got the HUD up so I can demonstrate one thing for you. Look at the vision that the Copenhagen Wolves are working with right now. They are making a play. They are saying, let's invade, let's do this, and they have no idea where their opponents are. On the other side of the coin, every single member of Dragonborns can see every single member of the Wolves, so they're working with everything. I'm going to let the replay run, and I want you to pay very careful attention to just the chaining of the CC on every single stage of this fight. The gold card stun runs out, Yamato Cannon gets knocked out. He manages to get his ultimate off, and he immediately gets taunted. By time the taunt wears off, he gets gold carded up. Now, while that kill is happening, the test gets caught out here. And I just want to pause and show you exactly the plays here. Stand United is still available for Godprobe, but he decides not to use it, and he'll come back a little bit later in the matchup. As they kill the test, Hosen actually fails his flash, which saves his life. And another very, very good play. Movert, he used Repel to chase the Tess's Ashe, then flashed back over the wall, and it allows Godbro to chase him. And again, perfect ultimate usage here from Bjergsen. He uses Destiny, gets in range, pay careful attention again to these taunts. And just the positioning and the focus from the Copenhagen Wolves, they stuck together as a 4/5-man team for the entirety of this fight. You'll see Shen coming in here, and the very second that Xuxe body slams, he catches a 2-man taunt. This fight plays out. We're going to carry on following it, and you'll actually see that the Stand United only gets used from Shen when it's literally needed to save the rest of the team. And if you can pick up what eventually becomes an ace for only losing one man, it is a massive, massive team fight. There's the Stand United, and it was just a demonstration of what happened through every single stage of that game. The Copenhagen Wolves set the tone, they picked the battles, they landed the abilities, and they won the matchup.
Absolute dominant performance towards the end there. So, of course, that leads us on towards the MVP, and, well, none other than who do we always call the MVP for the Wolves? It is, of course, Bjergsen once again. He went 10-10 in that game on Twisted Fate. Started off fantastically well. Really set his whole build order towards basically roaming ganking, and it worked so well for him.
Yeah, mobility and just making sure he gets those Destiny ganks. You know, went Twin Shadows into Lichbane, then went for the Home Guard boots, and it was just chasing down every single person across the map. Well played by Bjergsen. He single-handedly won that early game. The team closed out the mid and late game.
So we are, of course, going to head over to the main stage. We're going to have an interview with Deficio alongside Shox.
Thank you very much. Yes, Deficio. In that bot lane, well, in the bot combination, you went for Lulu. You like to play Lulu. And the test went for Ashe, which doesn't pick a lot. How is that? How do they work together, Lulu and Ashe?
The lane itself is kind of safe. You can't really kill anyone 2 versus 2. That's why we lane swapped as well. Also, they started red pot and Elise support was like really good early game. So we figured, okay, we have to lane swap. And we actually knew we had to lane swap when we picked it. But it's double slow. There's a slow on Ashe, there's a slow on Lulu. There's a shield, there's an ultimate on Lulu for Jarvan when he jumps in, which we like to use a lot. And we have the ass arrow for like engages with either Shen on him or TF porting in. So that was the reason for it.
And the plan worked perfectly. Now, of course, you're in a unique position. You used to be the manager of the Copenhagen Wolves, and now you are the support player. How would you say your team has, you know, the evolution they've gone through the last couple of months?
Like when we started LCS, we were very, very bad at finishing games. We didn't know what to do mid-game. We got the advantage early game, and then we just ran around. Kind of like we did this game, actually, so we got a bit nervous. During the game, we was like, hey, what are we doing? I mean, all of a sudden, we don't know what to do. So we made some mistakes here mid-game, but generally, we're very good at snowballing. That's one thing we improved a lot. And our picks have gotten a lot better now. I mean, our champion select, we prepare a lot for it, and we discuss back and forth what to pick, what not to pick here. Where in the past, we kind of just said, okay, we want to play this, and then we just picked it, and sometimes we got punished for that.
Okay, now, of course, this weekend is very important. You had a bye week. We saw AAA and Giants doing very well. So how are you dealing with the pressure that, you know, it's go time for you guys now? It's
kind of annoying, actually, that they're doing so well, especially AAA, because they're like right behind us now. And we kind of have to win over Fnatic, EG, or Gambit to secure the 5th spot. But it's fine. I mean, it gives you some more motivation, and you just have to prepare yourself a little bit better and go in and win.
Motivation, speaking of motivation, your family's here today. So how are they looking upon this adventure you're going through?
I think my dad is probably one of the most passionate dads about this game. He watches every single game, even games I don't watch, and he types to me like, oh, now they lost, now they won. I'm like, I didn't even watch the game, but nice, cool. And he tries, I mean, even my mom actually tries to help us with like, you have to practice all the time and make sure we practice enough. And so they're very supportive, and yeah, it's great.
Great to hear. Thank you very much, Deficio. Before we go into the break, I want to remind you of our Twitter question, of course. If you had to name the European All-Star team, what would you call them? And, of course, also remember to send in your questions for the European All-Star team manager, Harry, as we'll be interviewing him later in the show. You can hit us up on Twitter at @LawEsports, #LCS. And now, Battle of the French Junglers in our next game as Herkibot and SK Gaming take on Virtual and Against All Authority. It is all about holding that 5th place spot for AAA after 2 victories yesterday. So they'll be coming out swinging. We'll be right back.